constant for everyone. So we look at video conferencing or online lessons. So our focus is always a visual demonstration and in a lot of cases timely feedback. So during the lesson we may, often we'll go through a particular part of that weekly work and allow them time to do that and then give them feedback. As I said earlier, a big focus is peer connection and wellbeing. So just checking in on the students. We, and some of you may have come across this as well, some students are petrified of having their screen on, which makes it really, really difficult. But yeah, we often encounter that, and it's a building process where eventually we try and get them on, because that's really important to see body language and all that sort of thing, and their wellbeing, not just allowing them in the chat box. I'll just quickly go over a structure of the lesson. It's really important to keep it not too much longer than 30 minutes. That's really important because concentration levels and they can waver and that type of thing. So it's checking in for 2 to 3 minutes, often just asking how is everyone and getting a little bit of interaction first of all, hopefully on the screen. Then it's revisiting last lesson content. So that might be a quiz question, or it might be a poll if you're using WebEx. It may be showing some student work and just demonstrating, a good bit of work or something that needs to be a little bit of improvement. Then it's moving into learning intentions. So keeping it really clear of what the lesson is going to be about. It's teaching and instructing for 10 minutes, using lots and lots of visuals, ensuring it's not content heavy. We have a lot of, as I said earlier, ASD students, but we try and look at that principle instruction, universal design, I should say, where we have a lot of visual stimulus and then talk about that rather than have the writing all up on the screen. Because it's proven to us that students learn better that way. And then really important as well, we spend the last 5 or so minutes explaining in detail what the task they have to do to complete for that week is. That's really important because one thing we've found over time is that students can get really stuck on that because there's not that day-to-day interaction where they can have the opportunity to ask, I don't understand this question, I don't understand that. It's really important that we go almost overboard with the explanation of that. And I've put in brackets there, this can be done as an instructional video as well, and that's something I always do. Just even on top of an online lesson, I always, whatever work is due for that week, I make sure I do it, and it only takes 2, 3, 4 minutes of an additional video and put it up on our LMS of what exactly is needed to be done and submitted for that week. And that helps not only students, but we often find the parents as well, because we can't always assume that the parents have got strong literacy skills and or the time to be able to be helping the student next to them. And then how often we do that? So for every subject, the timetable classes we have at the moment is one every subject. So they'll have one online lesson. So they'll sometimes go for 45 minutes, but generally we keep them short and sharp. That seems to work better. Thanks, Marty.
How many students would be in one of those video conferences, or does it vary a lot, Sean?
Yeah, no, good question, Marty. So what we've found with, and bear in mind, as I say, with the junior classes, we have students with a lot of learning difficulties, a lot of anxiety issues, a lot of ASD who struggle with bigger groups. So we don't have any more than 15. That's been our number. That seems to work okay. But yeah, that's a good question. So instructional videos, as I said before, are really, really important, and they can be used for not only explaining the work in a different way and having it just sitting there, but also for feedback. And I'll talk about the feedback the second part. But yeah, I use these a lot, and feedback has been really strong about this because it allows for those students who one, don't want to participate as much as others in the online lessons, but also as an additional resource for those who have been in the online lesson but maybe missed a certain point, and then they've got the ability to fast forward, rewind, watch things a little bit more. And there's also now, again, being wary of time constraints, Click View. I haven't put that up on the screen, but a lot of schools are using Click View now, and our school started uploading, the videos to Click View, I should say, and then there's a library for the students who may have missed certain parts or may have started at different times, and then they can easily access them as well. And again, in Click View, depending on how keen you are, you can then make those videos stop and start at certain points and have questions. Again, we're being very aware that people are very time poor, but it's worth knowing. So some of the programs I've used in the past, Screencast-O-Matic is one where, it's a really easy program to use, and you can basically record your screen and your actual camera at the same time. There's also the opportunity, if you really wanted to use Google Meet or WebEx and just act as if you're doing a meeting, but just record it with you, just talking. Some of the really key points that we've found over time at virtual school is having the camera on. So there's the tendency sometimes is just to record the screen, but it's really invaluable your little idiosyncrasies to show them to the students and keep their attention, if that makes sense. Use teaching materials, so try not to have a PowerPoint as such. That's a common mistake a lot of teachers at VSV have got into over time, is just use a PowerPoint and talk to that. If you've already got the resources, just have them up on the screen and talk through them. There's no point doubling up, and that's what I often tell new teachers at VSV. They'll make these amazing PowerPoints when they could have just gone straight to the LMS and explained it from there. That's important. Keeping it short, so the concept videos should only be between 5 and 10 minutes, and just be really clear about what you're trying to explain and teach, and keep it short, because again, that aspect of keeping their attention and getting the point across, it's important to really be short and sharp with that. I've already talked about, use your stored resources, don't double up if you don't have to, and mistakes are fine. I remember, when I was first making mine years and years ago, I'd do it 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 times because I was worried about I'd said too many times or something like that. It is fine to make mistakes, and it's good to show that you're human to your students. They're probably used to it in the class anyway, that you say the same word a number of times a lot anyway, so they'd probably think it was a bit strange if you weren't doing that. The last point there, you can use these as feedback videos. So if your school is using that model of they've got to submit work weekly, something I've done, and particularly in the older year levels has worked really well, is I've had that work up on the screen. So if you're using Google or Classroom, for example, and they've submitted it online, I will literally record the screen and talk through, and it only needs to be 3 or 4 minutes, and talk through their work, have my camera up at the same time, and it's just invaluable feedback rather than well done, Marty. I'm literally talking to the points, and the most common thing is people think it takes forever, but it doesn't. I've even doubled up a little bit, but I've corrected a bit of work and then I've gone and talked over it. And the feedback from students has been, really good with that. And same thing with parents. If you've got younger students, then clearly their parents are going to be having an interest as well in what they're doing and if they're doing things right and not. And yeah, that's something to think about. Thanks, Marty. I might just